Hey everybody, Mike Verita. So, I don't watch the news. I used to work on the news. I don't watch the news for a lot of reasons. And I dumped all my social media for mostly the same reasons. But funny thing is, we live in such a huge stream of media that even if you're not trying, you can kind of find things out. So, I've been in a deliberate creative bubble for the last couple of weeks working on a project, but even so, just going out and getting coffees or whatever, I can tell something big has gone on in the country, or considered to be big has been going on in the country, but I don't know anything about it. Well, that's not true. I think I know three things. I think one, it happened in North Carolina. I think. Number two, I think it has something to do with Donald Trump and something he said, which wouldn't be surprised. Everything's about that. Or three, I think I heard a white supremacist drove over somebody in a protesting crowd and killed somebody. I don't know. Was it really a white supremacist, like a good old-fashioned one, or was it they just don't want to say Muslim? I don't know. But today I'm going to find out, because I got a few hours and some time, and I'm going to find out everything goes on. This is the process that I use to try to figure out, inside the huge stream of media that we have, which is all biased and all fucked up, this is the process I'm teaching my kid to try to get to what the truth is, since we want to have, wise opinions on things if we can help it. I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a libertarian, I don't really belong to any groups, I'm just not a group guy, I don't know. So I don't have any inherent biases. So this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to find out today what's been going on. So generally, what I'll do is I'll just start scanning headlines. I'll go to the start of the BBC. We'll start over there and see if I can get a good idea. Thousands in U.S. march against the alt-right. Anti-racism protesters. Okay. Trump. Barcelona attack. So there was another terror attack. March against the alt-right. That's a new term. I guess that's a real term now. How about Reuters? What does Reuters have to say? What does Reuters have to say? After firing. Oh, Bannon. So Steve Bannon's been fired. Returned to his killing machine. Okay. Well, a lot of people got to be happy about that. They didn't like him. He was a divisive figure. Let's check him out at Breitbart. It was great. Donald Trump thanked Steve Bannon for his service. So something went. So Bannon took a hit. It looks like. I don't know. We'll see. Ben's a return to Breitbart. Okay, so let's check Huffington Post. Let's just check. Make racists afraid. Yeah, Black Lives Matter. Well, that's the racist. That's funny. Wait, are they because they are the racists? Is that no one should have that power? Kicking Nazis off the internet. Oh, all right. Wow. Hold on. All right. Backlash over lawmakers' Trump assassination post. Somebody else still is threatening to assassinate the president. We have a statute in the American code that makes that a crime. I'm not resigning. Well, why should you? You should be in jail. You can't threaten the president. I don't remember the section, but it's like a law dates back to like 1400, curiously enough. Donald Trump has never had any friends, likes to speak to his family every day. Okay. Oh, all right. Okay, I'm still not sure what Anchorage lies. Okay, so all right, let's keep going. I don't ever check. I mean, there's a few places that just aren't worth checking, but we'll go anyway. Bannon's White House run. Yeah, I don't. Okay, so I don't belong to this. I would never do that. Oh, okay. So all right. But what happened? Why are people? Okay, let's go to Drudge. Down, yes, but not out. He's always down. People have been out. Okay. Soothe nations. Gainesville set for white nationalists. White nationalists. Boston race for a right-wing rally. What is going on? Tech censorship, white supremacists. Facebook bans nationalist account. Keeps all right. This is their slant on it. Coulter unleashed after the ban of presidency. Jesus Christ. Confederate. Is this over? All right. So right now, this has happened. This might give you an idea of how long ago this was. Who else might be talking about this? What's on American Thinker? I check everything. I go to all kinds of places. What are they talking about? The new Civil War, the Democratic leadership. Well, that's been true for a while. Charlottesville. Charlottesville is not about the forces of good versus the forces of evil. So that gives me a clue. Something happened in Charlottesville. Summary. How about that? Charlottesville aftermath. How white supremacist protests turned. Who's that from? Washington Post and New York Times? Nah. What else? Al Jazeera. What, where, and who? Let's start with that. A man rammed a car into anti-racist protesters in Virginia? Anti-racist? Okay. A Unite the Right rally was planned for Saturday, August 12th, to protest against the removal of a statue of Confederate icon General Robert E. Lee. Who is Unite the Right? Unite the Right. College students unmasked as Unite the Right protesters. How about Unite the Right official site? I want to find out who these... I immediately... So I don't even really see... So this isn't really an organization. They don't have a website. This is people calling themselves Unite the Right. They could call themselves Jedis as far as it being a real organization. All right. Let's try this again. Because this is the first thing when somebody starts talking about somebody, I want to know who they're talking about. Unite the Right was a violent protest in Charlottesville. Snopes, yeah, that's not a source of information. CNBC, I'm just getting up in an echo chamber if I don't get some facts here. One dead is a car. So okay. So one person did die, at least according to USA Today. So it's very hard for me. Unite the Right organizer. All right, who's this guy? A man who organized a rally in Charlottesville that sparked violent clashes between supremacist group and counter-protesters tried to hold a news conference, but 100 booed him down and forced him away from the lectern. Yeah, why have to listen to what he has to say? He's a blogger in Charlottesville. As he came out to speak, he was surrounded by cameras and people. Naturally, people chanted, made noise with drums. Right, you're wearing the wrong hood. A reference to the Ku Klux Klan. So people wouldn't let him talk. So who is this guy, Jason Kessler? Can we find out what do we know about him? They descended in he's being escorted by state troopers. Okay. So I just have to dig in a little bit here. That's what I just because when somebody starts talking about events, they're framing everything based on on their own thing. You got to try to Southern Poverty Law Center. Relying on the familiar tropes of white genocide and demographic displacement, white nationalist blogger Jason Kessler seeks notoriety with his Unite the Right march in Charlottesville. He's made he's okay, well, I don't know about this. A journalist and activist. Yeah, but where are his writings? What is Jason? I want to know what he says. The latest tweets from Jason Kessler. There we go. He's on Twitter? Sorry, that page doesn't exist. Oh! What'd you do? Shut his page down? Didn't like what he had to say? Now we don't know what he's fucking saying. You gotta keep your shit out in the... If you don't keep stuff out in the open, how are you gonna deal with it? If there's a racist, you want him out in the open. Heather Heyer was a fat... Okay, this is who this is from, LA Times, right? Heather Heyer was a fat, disgusting communist, said the tweet on the account belonging to Jason Kessler. Communists have killed 94 million. Looks like it was payback time. Okay, so the protester who was killed at the event saying that her death was payback time. Okay, so I'm gathering the person who was killed was Heather Heyer, and the guy who organized the event has absolutely no remorse about it. Okay, so he's kind of a dick. So how does this guy have any, like, how can we not all just unite on the fact that this guy sounds like a fucking piece of shit? I will no longer associate with Jason Kessler, right? A white nationalist. Heather's death was deeply saddening. Yeah, okay, right, yeah. This is wrong and vile. Well, I agree with those comments. All right. President Trump also due criticism, always, when he suggested in a news conference that there were very fine people among far-right figures who were protesting the removal of the Confederate statue. Well, that's going to be statistically a fact. There are going to be perfectly fine people who don't think you should pull down a Confederate statue. Far-right? Did he say that there were fine people among the far-right? Did he actually say there are fine, very fine people among the far right, or is that an editorializing context that you're putting it in? That's important to know. Yeah, I don't subscribe to all you people. Trump comments on Charlotte's. This is what I do. Charlottesville transcript. Let's get it out of its context. Transcript. Transcripts. Here we go. Is this a transcript? Yeah, but is it a full transcript? It's in USA Today. I don't see a transcript. God damn it! Everybody's doing this now. Full transcript. Both sides. Charles. Okay. White House releases official transcript of today's off-the-rails Charlottesville presser. Mr. President, why do you think these CEOs are leaving your manufacturing council? When was this from? Blast neo-Nazis. I didn't wait long. You waited 2 days. I didn't wait 48 hours. I wanted to make sure, unlike most politicians, what I said was correct, not make a quick statement. The statement I made on Saturday, the first statement was a fine statement, but you don't make statements that direct unless you know the facts. Takes a little while to know the facts. Can't disagree with any of this. You still don't know the facts, and it's a very, very important process to me. It's an important statement. Agree with all that. I would rather that than I don't want to just quickly make a statement for the sake of making a political statement. I want to know the facts. So you had to something white supremacists? Okay. As I said, we condemn in the strongest possible terms egregious displays of hatred, bigotry, and violence. It has no place in America. Okay. So, it's very hard for me to just put these pieces together, and I'm trying. I am trying. So there's a Unite the Right protest. This is what I know so far. There's a Unite the Right. And the guy who organizes it, apparently, is a total piece of shit. Let's just look here at Wikipedia, because why not? I check everything. I don't care. Violent protest. It was a violent protest. It wasn't organized to be one. It was one. That's important to remember. To oppose the removal of... So this is all over a statue of Robert E. Lee in Emancipation Park. Okay. Protesters included white supremacists. Sure, you're going to get those. White nationalists, you'll get those. Neo-Confederates. Do we have those? Okay, neo-Nazis, sure. And various militias. The protesters also included who else? Where's the other people? Where are the counter-protesters? They didn't list who were in the counter-protesters. Suspect article. Suspect. You're only telling me half the story. But we have all those people in America. You're allowed to have those people in America. You can be all kinds of things. You can be anti-Jew, and you can hate niggers, and you can be anything you want in America. And then let society work it out. That's fine. Yeah, we've got all this. Some of the marchers carried automatic rifles, swastikas. Yeah, that's their costume. If you were going to dress up like a neo-Nazi, you'd have a fucking swastika. Yeah, Confederate blacks, anti-Muslim, sure, an anti-Semitic banner. Yeah. And Trump-Pence signs. Sure, some of them, right? Yeah, I mean, this is in the news. Hold on. The rally occurred amidst the backdrop of controversy. Right. The event turned violent after protesters clashed with counter-protesters. Which counter-protesters and why? What were they doing? Why did they clash? Beyond just who started what? I want to know how that happened. You can't take a damn thing. You can't trust any of this. Left-wing agitators. So this is from Daily Caller, right? That's their thing. But let's see what they say. Far-left agitators are calling for an escalation in tactics. Many of the same groups that have organized violent demonstrations in Berkeley. Yeah, well, we know that. An aggressive response to violence in Charlottesville. Yeah, Charlottesville is just the beginning. If the alt-right can get away with murder there, none of us will be safe. So this is all turning into that stuff. We have to stand up to white supremacists. Why? Because there's that many of them? They all were in one place. You know where they are. They're wearing Nazi flags. This is fucking it's a handful of assholes, ultimately. It's not... Whatever. Okay, this is not helping. So it's going to be very difficult for me to get the facts on because it's so charged. Trump wrong about the purpose of the Charlottesville event. So ultimately, what I'm gathering so far is that Trump waited too long to decry. Okay, but there's so many. This is why I don't read the news. Because you got to do all this fucking shit to figure out what the hell is really going on. He made claims a thing happened. In order to know what happened, for me to know what happened, I need to know exactly the truth about what was going on. Who was protesting? What were they standing for? How did it go from one thing to the other? If somebody threw a blow, who threw the first blow? I understand that this Jason Kessler guy, just based on his comment, it seems like a pretty piece of shit thing to say. He's probably a piece of shit, but I actually don't know that. Maybe he was just angry and trying to say something he thought would get under everybody's skin. I don't know. I don't really think so. It's my guess, but I don't know him. I know that I've read one tweet from him, and it was pretty fucking dark. Somebody gets run over in a but you can say that too in America. You can say that. And if he gets all fired and shot, well, I guess maybe that's society taking care of it. I don't know. But you can say that in America. Somebody can die and you go, good. They're fat, disgusting, and I hated them. You can say that. You're allowed to say that in the United States. You're allowed to be a dick. It's not against the law. Well, and this is it's just like, so Trump wrong. Trump rarely waits for facts. Trump's claims. It's all about Trump's claims. It seems to me if somebody was driven over in a, how come that's not the news? How about, what else can we look for? How about a video of the protest? Can we actually see that? Oh, from the Alex Jones channel. So he's going to cherry pick his shit like anybody else. But let's just put my eyes on this. Yeah, so I mean, Alex Jones is going to pick. He's going to cherry pick to get the stuff that makes. Okay, so we got guys there in. What is this? Of the Unite the Right protest, right? Highlights attacks from the counter protesters are every bit as violent. That's always how this stuff degenerates into this shit. Everybody bravely wearing masks to conceal their identities. Lots of people to root for in this. Let's see what we got here. I like the courthouse. Look at that. The courthouse with the crowd. What a classic looking shot. That's a good shot, man. That'd take forever to organize that shot. Really have it. That looks real legit. That's a good. It's just that the production design on that it's very classic. It almost looks like it's good. Yeah. Tear gas. Right. Okay. So I'm not getting much here. What really happened? All right.
Yes, I am. What do you think about all this violence? Do you think it's okay?
I don't know, man. This would take me days to sort all this out. Based on what I know, which is not much, and some of it is because I'm jumping all around, but part of the reason I jump all around is because if I stay on one of these things, like if I just went and picked one place and read through it, it would not be at all the case. If I went to Huffington Post, it would not in any way, whatever I come out on the other side of this is not going to be, I don't know anything. I can steep myself. Kicking Nazis off the internet, that's not a good idea. The Daily Stormer, a website started by neo-Nazi, has promoted racist, anti-Semitic, homophobic as the kind that was founded in 2013. That's right. But this week, after a deadly whites and several tech companies have kicked the site off the internet. Well, this is not talking about Charlottesville. For me, the only thing that's going to matter is the degree to find out exactly what happened. Who started what? I mean, I'm noticing this thing, which is that the concept of white supremacists is either a surprise to people or something that you think shouldn't be allowed in a country that expressly and deliberately allows there to be white supremacists. That's the point. And when we start to conflate the issues, the idea that being a white supremacist means you're inherently violent, no, it doesn't. I mean, I think it means you're ignorant, but but at least I'm starting to get an idea for why people were upset. Is because somebody got killed. Otherwise, it's just your usual people standing around carrying signs. It's white people going, "We hate niggers, and niggers ain't going to replace us." And then black people going, "Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. How come you so stupid?" And then they go back and forth and go back and forth. I get that. That's just what they do. Carry signs. That's like what we do. We carry signs and have protests. That's like our new national pastime. I couldn't have been baseball forever. Baseball has winners and losers. Can't do that anymore. So we have protests now. This is the video. I don't really want to watch more videos. I'd like to read something if that's possible. Well, let me just go. At least American Thinker will be well written. If President Trump called out each right-wing bigot that invaded Charlottesville, it would not be enough. It would also take him all year. Some obsessive Trump antagonist standing behind the arc of Klieg lights while holding a microphone would find out that somehow, somewhere, he had left out something. If there's anything we can agree on, say liberal pundits, it's that fascism is evil, and Trump should have rushed to condemn them after the vehicular assault on demonstrators. James Fields, the alleged perpetrator of the vehicular assault in Charleston, is identified as a white nationalist, but belonged to no group. Moreover, he seems to be mentally ill. Boy, that's a surprise. Army discharged him after a few months in a manner that bespeaks mental problems, but let's not raise the issue. It'll prevent us from feeling sanctimonious about condemning the right. Okay. This is... We were certainly... Okay, so don't talk... Okay, so, American Thinker is well written, but however, at least I got a piece of information. So James Fields. So let's see if we can get... Okay. So what we know about James Alex Fields... Is there anybody other than the New York Times and the Chicago Tribune? Does anybody just have fucking facts on the guy? No. No, it's all... How about the BBC? Picture has been emerging of this guy, the main suspect in the killing of a woman, James Alex Fields, who's 20. He's 20. He knows fucking nothing. And originally from Kentucky, was arrested and charged after a car was delivered. His mother told me he did not openly express extreme views, misguided and disillusioned. Yeah. A lot of boys get interested in German and Nazis, right? Because so this is the guy. Nice picture. Mrs. Bloom, his mother is Samantha Bloom. She's a paraplegic. Said his son moved out of her home 5 or 6 months ago. She had been watching his cat. She said he did not know she doesn't know a lot about her kid. He's 20. Whatever. He had no father. His father was killed by a drunk driver. His uncle maybe raised him. Maybe did have a father. He demanded his money was 18 and left. Okay. So. All right. So. It's like everybody was having a perfectly good protest day until this dude decided this was a perfectly good excuse for him to get in his car and run somebody over. Did he die? Oh, gosh, I hope he died. Did he die? I don't think so. New charges, it says. So he survived? Fuck. I hate that. Police shot 9,000 rounds of ammunition into the car window, ending Mr. Field. That's the story I was looking for. And that one, because... Ooh, jeez. Look at that. Contains disturbing scenes. Let's see it. What's that? We were downtown while there were groups of dispersed people. Oh, he had what kind of car? Oh, he just drove right into the car. Oh, boy. Okay, so Yikes. What kind of car did he have? What was that? Was that an American-made car? I sure hope so. It wasn't a German car, was it? That would be like... what is that? I don't know what that is. Anyway, so this guy drives into a crowd of people. Not on behalf of the white supremacists, but as a white supremacist, probably. So they didn't tell him, go run over these people. Is that guy wearing a baseball helmet? Isn't that a batting helmet? This guy's wearing a batting helmet. It's like an Easton batting helmet, I think. It's like, well, we don't really have equipment for the cops, but you can go get a batting helmet. That's kind of tragic to see that right there. But anyway, so so he drove a car. So, but here's the interesting thing. I mean, just as my thought is, I'm pretty sure everybody's just going to say, well, this is what white supremacists do. But when a Muslim gets in a thing and drives over a whole bunch of people, they're like, don't blame all Muslims. Well, where's the thing? Don't blame all white supremacists. I can't believe you're equating Muslims to white supremacists. I'm just equating individuals being held, groups being held responsible for the acts of an individual. Well, they create a climate. Don't give me that climate. You can climate me all day long. I'm not going to drive a car into people. We're responsible for our own actions. Get out of here. Unless we maybe are mentally ill and 20 and fucked up family kind of stuff, which this is all fucked up. These people are all fucked up. He was infatuated with Nazis. Okay, yeah, well, this happens, man. Like, what are you going to do? Make there was no Nazi history? Well, as a result, we shall not study Nazi. Never happened. Because this way, if they can't read about it, then they can't be inspired by it. Okay, so I'm starting to get the idea here. Everything was okay until James Fields here had to go get in a car. This is a clearer picture. Had to get in his car and drive over. Just let the fucking you can't have a protest without an anti-protest in America. It's like that's some sort of that's like physics. You have to have the positive and the negative. They have to have it. So he drove a car and ruined it for everybody. And then after he ruined it for everybody, yikes, he drove right into that crowd. Oh, I'm so angry that guy survived. And it doesn't matter his motivations, right? Ultimately, I think we can agree on that. We know his motivations, or we can guess his motivations within a reasonable degree of safety, right? He didn't like black people, or something, Jews, or something, whatever, whites, the usual. And so much so that he thought it was time to drive over people. Not somebody any of us can root for. We have protests every day without this sort of thing happening. And funny, as you noticed, it's been a little tough to... It took a while to even get to that guy's name. But it seems to me... Let me go back to Drudge. If Bannon is out... Okay, so it seems to me that most of it... Like, honestly, what do we care what the president had to say about it? Shouldn't the action be the fact that this guy drove over a fucking girl and killed her? I mean, is it news that the head of a white supremacist organization who might have put this organization together, that other guy, that he would have said some... White supremacists generally are kind of not people we would root for. I'm not surprised by the guy's tweet. Yeah, she was a fat, disgusting communist or whatever he said. Yeah, that's like what the guy would say. Do you not know the character? That's what the character would say. Everybody's being true to their character, including the crazy, disillusioned white guy who drove over people. I mean, you had the crazy, disillusioned black guy who shot 5 police officers. We have these crazy, disillusioned... What was that guy's name? Who shot the 5 black people? Black guy kills police officers. Who was that? Who was that guy? I can't remember that guy's name. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Micah Johnson. Right, he ambushed and fired a bunch of unarmed police officers. He killed 5 of them. I forgot that. 5. Yikes. And what was his reason? I don't know. I hate white people. I mean, I don't know. These people are doing their jobs. That guy is a white guy hater, shoots 5 cops. This guy is a Jew black hater, and he drives over, and he only got 1. You drove a car into a fucking crowd of people and you only killed one? Loser. That's pathetic. I'm not wishing more people died. I'm just saying, for God's sakes, you have a car, and it looked like a car with some muscle, too. And he had plenty of room to get up to speed? That's pathetic. So the guy's a loser. And he didn't even end up dead for it. Oh, that's all pathetic. Number one, he only got one person. Number two, he is just going to end up in jail. 20 years old. That's a tragic case. That's a loser. But anyway, the point is everybody is doing their jobs here. I don't see anything. And this doesn't seem to be where the news is. It seems to be that the news is in Donald Trump's response. I'm going to go back to Drudge. Just because it's an aggregate. It's going to be all right-leaning, but it's aggregate. So, I tried this early. I tried to get... it seems to me that people are mostly, that's what I noticed, was mostly upset about the president's reaction, which really to me seems secondary. The transcript. Please give me the fucking transcript. In a televised statement Monday, I don't know when this happened. Let me find, I didn't remember. When did that happen? This happened on August 11th to 12th. What day was that? What day is this? I honestly don't know. I've been working and I've been in a bubble. Today's the 19th? Oh, wow. This was 7 days ago, a week ago. So, this would have been like Friday or something? Or last Saturday? Morning of August 12th. Okay, so it's Saturday. It's a week ago today. Today's the 19th. Monday. So, Sunday, Monday. Okay. He denounced several of the white supremacist group who were present. So on Monday afternoon. On Saturday, Trump had condemned the violence he deemed to come from many sides. Well, that is true. There's going to be violence on many sides. I'm going to have to say and again, it was this guy. It wasn't the Unite the Right didn't drive over. They didn't show up in tanks. See, that would be a different thing. If the Unite the Right people all showed up in those like Death Race 2000 cars with spikes on the front and then drove into the protesters, then Unite the Right had come and driven into protesters. Unite the Right is doing their normal stuff, and the Black Lives Matter terrorists are doing their thing. Everybody's just talking about, but everybody's doing their job. They do this all the time. They yell at each other and they carry signs around and they then blah 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 blah, and every side thinks they're right. And then fine. That's what we do in the country. It's fine. You're allowed to do that. At least you used to be able to. I don't know do we still have a constitution anyway? But then the one fucking, it had to be a white guy. 20-year-old guy, probably mental problems, something, drives over, kills a woman. Everyone wants to know what the president has to think. Anyway, in a televised statement on Monday, yeah, but he said he had condemned the violence. So what did he say on Saturday? Trump's Saturday comment. Saturday transcript. Saturday, August 12th. Transcript. I want just the facts, ma'am. Vox. Here's a full transcript of Trump. Okay. But I want to make sure, is this from Saturday? During a Saturday. Okay. We're going to talk about something. So he says, we're closely following the terrible events unfolding in Charlottesville, Virginia. We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence on many sides. On many sides. Agreed. Agreed. You can't not say that. It's been going on for a long time in our country. Not Donald Trump, not Barack Obama. This has been going on for a long, long time. Also a statement of fact. It has no place in America. I disagree with you there. It clearly has a place in America. It's always had a place in America. It's part of the fabric of our... but, it's like we want to keep these people out in the open. You don't want your racists underground. You want them out in the open where you can see with them. What is vital now is a swift restoration of law and order. Yes, and protection of innocent lives. Agreed. No citizen should ever fear for their safety and security. True. No child should ever be afraid to go outside. You didn't write that one. I just got off the phone with the governor of Virginia. Virginia. Okay. Is that... I hate to do this because I've... Oh, it is. Charlottesville's in... Oh, that's right. We know our geography. And we agree that the hate and division must stop. Yeah, yeah. So what are you going to do about it? It's a love nation. I say this so strongly. True affection for you. Like, stop. Come on. Yes, 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 yes. We have great... He's talking about... Don't talk about your record right now. What else? So when I watch Charlotte, it's very, very sad. I want to salute the work of the state and local police, incredible people. We're here to provide what other assistance is needed. We are ready, willing, and able. Above all, we must remember the truth. No matter our color, creed, religion, or political party, we are Americans first. We love our country. We love our God. Not all of us. We love our flag. Not all of us. We're proud of our country. Not all of us. I mean, I am, but, we're proud of who we are. So we want to get the situation straightened out in Charlottesville. Does that mean mopped up? And we want to study it. We also want to see what we're doing wrong as a country, that things like this can happen. Honestly, when you have a country of 300 million people and it's growing, you're not going to stop all of this. Life has bad people and bad things in it, and this idea that there are not going to be problems and crazies and loonies. You got 7.2 units on the fucking planet. You got every kind of person with every kind of motivation. I think as a goal, we're just going to make sure no bad things ever happen again is not a reasonable one. So I'm sorry, you can put all the things you want to... There's going to be the lone nut and the crazy nut and the racist nut and the fucking mentally incompetent. There's going to be these people. If you want fewer, you need to get us down to about 50 people so we can keep a tight leash on every single person. Other than that, this is going to happen. Okay, we have to love each other. Okay, so Saturday comments. I wouldn't have said anything other than that personally, so I can't condemn any of his comments from Saturday. Did I miss anything? Are people upset about this idea that there's violence on both sides? Because there is violence on both sides in these protests. That's a statement of fact, not an opinion. If you want to argue that, then you just need to attend more of them. And, but it's this passive attention. It's the, you curl a couple little things and it all, and then every once in a while it turns into somebody turns over a car because if you don't want a Republican to speak at your college, the way to stop it is to set a car on fire. Look, I agree it's stupid, but, it's one car. There aren't bodies strewn all over the sidewalk at the end usually. And when there are, then you know who the bad guys are and they should be shot and killed and, go to jail. Whatever. So, but his comments here initially, I'm reading the transcript. I'm not reading anybody's opinion about it or editorial. I'm just trying to read the comments. So I can't disagree with his comments. I think it's people don't like the idea that there's hatred and bigotry and violence on both sides. Now, that's absolutely a statement of fact. The huge, giant left-leaning media does never want to hear that. So that would set off a bunch of people. No, there aren't. No, we're flawless and righteous, and it's all right people are all... Yeah. Which is just not a statement of fact, so you don't have to listen to that. And this came from Vox. So, which I'm pretty sure is left, right? Well, let's look at the transcripts. But I saw this thing from Monday. Let's see what his comments were from Monday. Full transcripts of both sides. Was that the one? Off the rails. Okay. So when was this? That's not enough information. I saw this one before. It would be amazing if Donald Trump didn't put his foot in his mouth at some point during all of this, because the guy is fucking he's like the Michael Phelps of putting his foot in his mouth. So, 5 days ago, fierce criticism of his response to the violence. Come on. I want the full transcripts. Fox again. Full transcript. Good. When a driver rammed his car into a crowd of counter-protesters, white supremacists, and one person, Heather Heyer, sorry, Heather died. President Trump, in his third public statement on the violence, I'm going to have to read the other one, said it was important to hear both sides. I agree. And defended the rallies as drawing many people other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists who have been treated absolutely fairly. Also true. then after standing up for attendees at a rally where swastika flags were on full display, yeah, I would surely as fuck hope that the President of the United States stands up for people exercising their constitutional right to wave a fucking swastika. That doesn't mean he believes in Nazis, you fucking ignorant asshole. It means he believes in the Constitution, which a president should. Oh, I hate comments like that. You know, can you imagine him supporting people's rights to have an opinion that you don't agree with? Yes, I can imagine that. I can fucking imagine that. That's the country we live in. Yeah, I stand up for it. I don't agree with them. I think they're fuckholes. But I defend to the death their right to be it. That's what the fucking country is, you anti-American fuckhole. So, what did he say? Yeah, is this... Yeah, full transcript follows, beginning with the first question he was asked. I didn't wait long. I waited... Okay, I read this before. That I wanted to make sure that what I said was correct, not make a quick statement. I made a statement on Saturday. Yeah, we read it. The first statement was a fine statement, but you don't make statements like that direct unless you get to know the facts. Took a little while to the facts, so I don't want to go quickly. Okay, yes. As I said on Saturday, we condemned the display of hatred, bigotry, and violence. Yes, he did say that. It has no place in America. I went on from there. That he did say that. When I make a statement, I like to be correct. Yes, absolutely. The guy's under siege all the time. In fact, the young woman, who I hear is a fantastic woman, it was on NBC. Her mother wrote me and said through Twitter the nicest things. I don't know. Okay, I very much appreciated that. I hear she was fine, really incredible. Her mother thanked me for what I said. Honestly, if the press were not fake, and it was honest, I can't disagree with me there, the press would have said what I said was very nice. All right. How about a couple of infrastructure questions? This seems to be... Okay, the CEO of Walmart said you missed a critical opportunity to bring the country together. I want to make sure, so he says, there's no way of making a correct statement that I had to see the facts. I didn't know David Duke was there. Was he? And even if David Duke was there, what would that have changed anything? Of course, shouldn't David Duke be there if it's a white supremacist rally? Shouldn't the whole Ku Klux Klan be there? They're allowed to be there. Man. I'm just reading his comments here. I'm not seeing anything. I see, I'm looking for the part where people are saying, like he's saying, hey, you know, maybe these white supremacists are right. Maybe if Black Lives Matter people didn't want to get run over by a car, they shouldn't be. Maybe, you know, he's not saying anything like that. I think the driver of car is a disgrace to himself, his family, and his country. Call it terrorism, fine. You can call it murder. You can call it whatever you want. I would just call it the fastest one to come up with a good verdict. I would just call it as the fastest one to come up with a good verdict. Right? That's the question. Is it murder? Is it terrorism? Then you get into legal semantics. Agreed. The driver of the car is a murderer. What he did was horrible and inexcusable. Yeah. What the fuck else do you want him to say? Can you tell us how you're feeling about your chief strategist? I never spoke to Mr. Bannon about it. So how did this all end up with Bannon? Look, I like Mr. Bannon. He's a friend. Mr. Bannon came on very late. You know that. I went through 17 senators. I won all the primaries. Bannon came on much later. He actually gets a very unfair... Okay, so they've called on you to defend your national security. So what are all these other people having to do with this? What does this have to do with? It is said that the alt-right behind these attacks and linked to the same group that perpetrated the attack... Hold on 1 second. Do you think what you call the alt-left is the same as neo-Nazis? All those people, I've condemned neo-Nazis. I've condemned many different groups. Not all these people were neo-Nazis. That's true. Not all of these people were white supremacists. That's also true. Some people were there because they wanted to protest taking down a statue. That's absolutely true. That's true. That's true. Okay, so... Are you putting what you call alt-left and white supremacists on the same moral plane? I'm not putting anybody on a moral plane. You had a group on one side and the other. They came at each other with clubs, and it was vicious and horrible. That's true. It was a horrible thing to watch. Well, it's kind of what we do, but there's another side. There's a group on this side. You can call them the left. You have them on the left. They came violently attacking the other group. I don't know if they did or not, but the truth is they do that. So there's blame on both sides. Look, this is... Okay, so all right. So you're saying the press is... So everybody... I can tell by these questions, they're all leading and loaded questions. Everybody's trying to get him to say, that the alt-left is as violent and as horrible as white nationalists. And the truth is, you could easily make that argument, and you could have plenty of video to prove it. However, the bigger question is that, do you defend people's right to protest and be assholes, whether it's alt-left or alt-right or any of these other terms that people invent? And the answer is, yeah, because in America you can do that. You can walk around your Nazi flag and you can say, I hate niggers, and you can say that in this country. And then if one of you gets in a car and drives over somebody else, I hope he dies, and the president does too. Whoever that president is. First of all, what else is the president going to say? But you know what isn't the truth, which I can tell, which all this is trying to do, is trying to get this guy, they're just trying to get him on anything, any little thing, so that they can say, oh yeah, you know what, you're a racist and you believe in all these people and everybody in your country is and this is bullshit. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. This is a horrible tragedy that a person in a protest got run over by an asshole. The president does not support. There's no. I'm reading the transcript. I'm reading his words. And or I'm no better than he is, because I'm looking at this and I think I have a son. I can't imagine my son would never be at a fucking protest getting out of my car, but whatever. We're not protest people. We're not those kinds of people. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, do what gets you through your day. But if we show up somewhere, it's going to be when a weapon is involved. That's what would get us out of the house. It's weapons time. Like if a civil war broke out, now we'll be there. We'll be there. When there's that, I think down with the wait, no, we're not those. We're just not those. Certain people are not sign carriers. I'm not a sign carrier. That's just me. I know there's a lot of judgment in that, and there is, but there also isn't. I mean, you know, I like, whatever, get through your day. If that's what you want to do, what do I care if you walk around with a sign? However, I also know that people walk around with signs and it gets ugly. And also, if you watch any kind of videos of these sorts of things and you listen to the people, everybody sounds like an idiot. I never hear anybody intelligent and well-spoken. And of course, maybe that's cherry-picked out of the videos, but anyway. You said there was hatred and violence on both sides. I think there's blame on both sides. You look at both sides. I think there is blame object on both sides. I have no doubt about it. You don't have doubt about it either if you report it accurately. That is true. You would say that the neo-Nazis started this thing. They showed up in Charlottesville. Excuse me. They didn't put themselves down as neo-Nazis. You had some very bad people in the group. You had some very fine people. That's going to be true, because this can be true in any group in a big, huge melting pot like the United States. Not everybody who thinks that a statue, which is representative of a historical event, even if it was a dark time. In fact, you can make the argument that that's why it should be there. Never forget. They didn't ask for... Jews don't ask to have Dachau and Auschwitz bulldozed from the earth, even though it's representative of this tremendous hatred by the Nazis. No, keep that. We want everybody to never forget. So how about the Confederate statue? Yeah, don't forget, we weren't always so great to black people. Now, some people are going to look at it and go, and that's just the way it should be, because they the mud races, you know? See, black people, the niggers that shut up. You're going to have both people. And you're going to have some Jews who go and Nazis maybe go and they visit the Dachau and they go home and they masturbate to the fucking leaflets. I mean, I don't know. There's going to be all kinds of people. You got 7.2 billion people. In this country, you're allowed to be these people, assholes, walking around and say, I'm just reading his more comments. George Washington was a slave owner. Was George Washington a slave owner? I think he was. So was George Washington now going to lose his status? Are we going to take down the statues to George Washington? Perfectly good question. How about Thomas Jefferson? What about that? Oh, you like him? Okay, good. Are we going to take down his statue? He was a major slave owner. Are we going to take down his statue? It's fine. You're changing history and culture. I cannot disagree with what he is saying. And I don't fucking like neo-Nazis. I think they're idiots. See, I mean, I haven't really talked about my personal opinion thing on this, but you know, this is not a racist household. I can't intellectually defend racism. I can intellectually defend why we have tribal mentalities and groups, and why there will always be the concept of the other. But in the 45 years that I've been alive, countless millions of black people successful in every conceivable walk of life. I've never known my life without black people as doctors, lawyers, physicists, engineers, technicians, you know what I mean, programmers, one of my most influential teachers was black. Politicians, presidents, and yes, entertainers and sports athletes and all. I mean, so to me, black people successful everywhere. It's not like the doctor is black. That's not the world I grew up in. It's 45 years, but it's pretty clear that if a black person wants to make it in this country, they do just fine. I mean, countless millions of black people as the black backbone of American society. I'm not raising my son to be like, every once in a while a black person could become a physicist. That's not the world he's being raised in. It's not true. It's like, yeah, he might as well be. You don't see a guy at MIT. Actually, I guess if you do see a guy at MIT who's not Asian, maybe that's interesting. But if it was black, you're not like, well, now, good for him. That's not... people like to pretend that they just got off the slave ship, but that's not the reality of it. Black people, millions, countless millions, successful in every conceivable walk of life in the United States. Backbone, foundational in this society. That's the actual fact. So if there's racism, it evidently doesn't, whatever it is, isn't enough to stop anybody who wants to make it, because they make it. It's not like the white privilege fairy gallops through Compton in the night and blesses one Neil deGrasse Tyson and an Oprah Winfrey and a Morgan Freeman and you can come with the white people. That's not what happens. They come from all the same cities and all the same towns and all the same advantages and disadvantages and broken homes or whatever. And if they want to make it, they make it. That's America. It's just that's the truth. That's why there's countless black people in every conceivable walk of life, and why in our house we don't think less of or more than of black people. Yeah, they've got struggles. There's going to be racism somewhere. You want to see racism? You should come with me on the LA Metro around 5 o'clock. I take my son in that every once in a while. Just, you got to get out of your thing. You got to get out of your thing. You got to go around and be among the people. By which I mean just whoever's not normally your people. We don't normally drive down, or we aren't normally in. We're just not normally in like economically depressed areas of Los Angeles on public transport. It's just not the life we normally live. So you bet your ass I get him on fucking public transport and we go into economically disadvantaged parts of Los Angeles, because you got to get in there. You got to know what other people live different lives. You got to be able to see a little bit of how they live. And not from a sort of, up in the nose, up in the air, like, and these are the little people. No. These are people who have children and families and struggles and hates and loves, and they're human beings, and you got to see them like that. And you also, what are you going to do? Shit on them? What do you shit on somebody because they're a fucking garbage man? How about that guy doesn't show up as for work? You're living in a pile of garbage. Show some great gratitude for people who are into manual labor. We don't have any of that fucking shit in this house. Everybody's... My grandmother used to say the world needs ditch diggers, too. I used to think she meant losers, and then I fucking got a clue, and I realized, no, actually, the world needs fucking ditch diggers. It holds the whole fabric of people together. People swing hammers and scoop up shit and rake leaves or whatever, do janitorials. Don't look... Just try your life without them for a while, Mr. Privileged. So I take them on the Metro, but I was going to say, you want to see fucking racism. You see the Mexicans and the blacks go at each other at 5 o'clock at the end of one of their days. Wow. White people can't even touch that. I'm just, and he asks me about it all the time. He's like, why were they so angry at each other? And I'm like, lots of reasons, and we talk about it, all the reasons. But so there's plenty of racism. There's racism. There's going to be racism. But... because countless millions of black people in every conceivable walk of life, successful everywhere. Engineers, technicians, astronauts, everything. Everywhere. It's not amazing when a black person is successful. So when people try to push the narrative that it's like, but poor black people, like, except my doctor and my lawyer and James Brown. And I'm as a musician, so like half my idols are black. So whatever. So anyway, not a racist household. We don't like neo-Nazis. But we also believe that neo-Nazis can carry their stupid flags around and say hateful shit. And so can all these new tones. You can call them alt-left, you can call them alt-right, you can call them liberals or whatever you want. It's just people... frankly, you listen to them for any length of time, there's really nobody to root for, but they do that. But one guy gets in a car and drives over somebody or shoots somebody. Okay, you're done. You're out. That's not defensible, and nobody's defending it. Oh yeah, the one guy who was the head of the alt right or the Unite the Right, he apparently defended it. Well, she was fat and deserved to die or whatever. Well, frankly, that's what the kind of guy would say. It's why I don't want to have anything to do with those people. It's fucked up, but the president didn't. So the president's being piled on. He's always being piled on. I feel bad for the guy. Did I get the whole fact? Did I get all the facts? I don't know if I got all the facts. You saw how long it took to get to the heart of any of this. And this was real. I mean, I didn't know anything about it. I think I know enough about it. It was a protest. They were going to take down the Confederate statue. A bunch of people who worship the statue because they still wish it was white America. Yeah, well, they're going to be there. And of course, then the other people are going to be there because Confederate statue states for hate and history and shit we don't like. We just want to erase history. It just never happened. It shouldn't. It's a symbol of hate. Like, you know, out of sight, out of mind. That's wise. And they clashed and everything was going fine. And then one white kid, some guy, not as a, on his own, not as a agent, but even if it was as an agent, okay, fine. He drove over somebody and he killed somebody. One. And the tragedy of that guy killing the woman, you'll notice when I was checking it out, the tragedy of her death represented pretty much the smallest percentage of what was going on, and most of what was about Trump's failure to accurately or fast enough condemn. And yet I read the transcripts from Saturday and I read the transcripts from Monday and couldn't have improved on them myself, and I didn't even see him say any boneheaded shit. I saw statements of facts, and I saw him being compassionate, and I saw him decrying the violence. So I couldn't have done better, so how much am I going to criticize? That's it. I don't know. And that's my reading of the Charlottesville attack. I now know about the Charlottesville attack. Now, you know, I'm sure this is splintered off into a million other things, but on its face and at its thing, I can't. I don't know what else to say. Like, this sort of how things go. It's a tragedy. Sorry the one woman got run over, but the president didn't endorse the idea. He didn't defend it. He said that there's protesters, violent protesters on both sides of these sorts of issues. It's a statement of fact. That's not an opinion. It's not even an opinion. It's not even remotely an opinion. That's a statement of fact. If I was going to continue to do these two fucking Google searches, we could prove that in about 3 seconds. But I don't have to, because everybody who wants to acknowledge that can acknowledge that. So I read his words, and I what else would you say? I mean, okay. So in the end, not a huge productive use of my time, but at least I know about it. But I don't have any new information beyond that I know about one more dead person. So I guess the news has done its job, because I'm thinking about that and not all the other myriad ways in which monopolistic corporations are fucking me in the ass. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just not into that. Admittedly, I've never tried it. I have to admit that. But I've had a couple of exams and I wasn't into it. I just want to make sure that we're clear. Sodomy's just not my thing. That's just not my thing. It's your thing. That's great. Man, woman, I don't care. It's not my business. I'm not going to decry in the strongest possible terms sodomy. That's just me. Personally, not into it. not into being a white supremacist Nazi defend their right to be it. Right up until the point that somebody gets in a car and drives over people. Then I hope they get shot to death. I hope they get turned into fucking Swiss cheese. I hope that their mother weeps over the coffin until the point that she has a heart attack and rids the earth of the entire gene pool. That's just me. Believe me, if you think Donald Trump says things that upset you, better hope I don't become president.